Hello there, it's Tony and Chris.
Pump House Records podcast, and today we have the most confident man in all of Nashville.
Well, he's worked hard for that, and he's earned a little confidence by being successful. If Heaven Wasn't So Far Away, Justin Moore. There's
great
a song I think any country fan knows, I Don't Dance by Lee Brice. Another huge song, both written by the guy we're going to be talking to on the podcast today. Please welcome to the show, Rob Hatch. My friend, good to see you. Thank you for taking the time, bro.
My brother, Tony and Chris, love you guys, man. Thank you for coming and hanging out.
Now, Rob's like a power player in Nashville. Songwriter, record label owner, all this stuff. His wife's one of the most powerful people in Nashville, period.
I ride her coattail, buddy. I ride her coattail all the way.
Hang on, dig in those claws and do not let go.
Yeah, not my first rodeo, dude. I know where my bread's buttered.
Well, let's start in the personal stuff. How'd you guys meet? How'd you guys get together? When did you fall in love?
Oh, goodness. I was probably a couple years into a publishing deal. I was writing for a girl named Michelle Berlin, a company called BMG. She had a place out north of town. She had a horse, actually, at her farm that was a trouble horse, and I grew up on a farm. So I was helping her out with a horse during the summer. My wife was hanging out there with her in the summer, and we met out at Michelle's place in north of town, Goodlettsville. It was the best day of her life is what it was. She didn't know it.
I was going to say, was it love at first sight? Did it take a little time? Did you have to convince her, beat her down?
Well, it was lust at first sight for her. I mean, look at this, buddy.
Sure, obviously.
No, we did hit it off right away. We dated for about 2.5 years before we got married, and we've been married 11 now. I think it's 11. COVID messes me up, but I think it's 11.
Yeah, you said it seems like forever.
Well,
no, you didn't phrase it.
Well, people ask, and they go, how long have you been married? I'm like, 42 years. Tell them, baby.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in Nashville, 11 years is like 50 years everywhere else. So
that's exactly.
It's impressive.
Now, you said you were born and raised on a farm. What got you to Nashville?
Writing music, writing songs was the ticket for me. I started writing songs when I first got to University of Florida, and one thing led to another, and here I ended up.
Well, what's the one thing that led to another? How'd that happen?
You want to hear?
When did you make a decision to go to Nashville?
You're gonna
make me do this.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I asked a fraternity brother of mine my freshman year of college at Florida if he would teach me how to play guitar. He showed me 3 chords. I lost my mind. I went and bought 3 songbooks: Willie Nelson, Jim Croce, and Alabama. Jim Croce was a big mistake, way too hard. And I went home and studied the tablature in the books and showed me where to put my fingers. And I probably did that for 4 months, 5 months. Went to a party, met a young lady that was way out of my league, made a move that did not work. Surprisingly enough, I know. Went home and wrote my first song about said incident. Played the song for her, and that did work. And I was like, hold on just a second. Wonder if I can do that again. So I wrote 4 or 5 songs on my own. I didn't know people wrote songs for a living. It was just a hobby in college. I got a call out of nowhere from a guy named Paul Rogers from Ocala, Florida. I was probably 45 minutes away. He said he had heard that I wrote songs, and I was like, how did you do that? Because I don't have anything recorded. He goes, I heard girls talking about it and said you were a songwriter. And I said, well, what if my songs suck? He goes, well, I hear they don't. I go, so what do you want to do? He goes, I want to play it during my set. He goes, I got the best band in North Florida. We play all over, and I want to play your songs in my set. I go, just negotiating. I go, well, only if I get to be in the band. He's like, perfect. Thursday night, 8:00, bring your guitar. And it was a gig at this place called, what was it called back then? It was a Midnight Rodeo or Ricochet, or I forget what it was called. A place in Ocala, Florida. But we were opening up for David Allan Coe, and there was like 2,000 people there. It was packed out, and I was terrified. Had never heard my guitar through a PA before. And bad as I played, I probably shouldn't have. I played with that band for 2.5 years on the weekends. Paul asked me to come to Nashville with him to play for a record guy. We came to Nashville. he liked the songs and said maybe I should be in Nashville. And off we went to the races. That night, he introduced me to a guy named Jared Neiman at a little bar called Tin Roof. You'll still see the grand opening sign on it. It was just opened up. First guy I got introduced to in town. We lived together for 5.5 years after that. I moved up. How long after that did I move up? 3 months, maybe. I moved up. I had, oh goodness, I had 2 classes left at the University of Florida. My father owned a Chevrolet dealership in my hometown, which he wanted me to take over. I quit college 2 classes before I graduated, packed all my stuff into a gooseneck cattle trailer, driving to Nashville, called my father going through Atlanta. I figured it was far enough that he couldn't kill me. It's 5 hours.
Make sure you got the right distance.
5 hours. I knew every time I think to call him, I'm like, nah, he's more dangerous than that. Let me get a little further. So my father finally got on the phone. I tell you, I go, Pop, I got some news. He goes, well, you're not going to like this too much. Or I told him that. I told him I was quitting college and moving to Nashville to be a songwriter. He said I needed to get my little ass home and turn that gooseneck trailer around and come take over this car dealership, or he would sell it. And I told him, I love you, but you can't jam me up. Do what you need to do. So he did. He sold it 6 months later, and I was in Nashville. And as soon as I crossed the Davidson County line, I was in love. I knew I wasn't leaving. This was what I wanted to do. So, and
it seems to have worked out pretty well for you.
I have been amazingly fortunate in this town. It has treated me really, really, really good.
Well, you don't have to say you're fortunate. If you lived 5.5 years with Jared Neiman and you're still around to talk about it, that's
survival of the fittest, fortunate. Dog. Survival of the fittest.
When you said with 5 years, then you went back to Florida, I thought, surely he didn't go back to school after being, because there's just a contact high of being around there for 5 years.
No, I've never. That's the one missing piece I have not done, is I did not go back and finish my 2 classes. I should have done that, but.
I was going to say, have you ever considered it? I mean, 2 classes, it couldn't be that difficult.
Online.
At some point, I start doing the math, and I go, you know how many songs I could write in the time that I could do those classes?
Fair enough. Well, but that makes total sense, too. My story, not like yours in that way, except the dropping out of college part, because I was in college and started in radio, and then I got a paying job, and then it became a real job. And went to my parents and said, and they were very cool. I said, guys, there's no sense in you paying another year of school for tuition to study something I'm already doing in the real world. And they were like, you're 100% right. So,
Rob, I'm going to print you out a thing you can frame and hang on your wall that's an almost diploma from the University of Florida, and we'll sign it and make it look like it's almost diploma.
It's all right. Even though I'm not full alumni, they still send me the donation slips.
Yeah, they're not shy about asking for money at all.
I think they still consider me one of theirs.
Yeah. Well, that's they do that because they just want the money. I get stuff for mine, and I wasn't even as close as you to graduate. I was still like a year and a half short, and I still get alumni stuff. Like,
no, Tony, no. Mine's because they love me. They love me. That's why they send me the stuff.
That's it. So, what was you're in Nashville and you made the move and you're doing the songwriting thing. Mm-hmm. What was the first time that you felt a little magic, either with someone else writing a song or on your own, when you felt like, man, I may have something here?
Well, I was really fortunate that the first group of guys that we kind of ran around with all ended up surviving the onslaught. We, Jared and I were living together, Jamie Johnson and Dallas Davidson and Randy Hauser. And we kind of, that's who we learned from. We watched each other do it in different ways, and some of them would get different record deals, and they all took different paths, and they all are their own person for sure. So we kind of got to watch it evolve in a lot of different aspects, and those guys were my teachers. They were who I learned how the music business worked from, because I didn't know anything. I was a fan of songwriters and singers and music, and I just wanted to write songs that I loved, that somebody who could sing was worthy of singing. I was just trying to be good. So it was like a PhD course, 10 years with those guys, man. That was, they taught me most of what I know, I guess.
Well, and that's awesome. So were you, I mean, obviously running around together, I assume you guys wrote songs together and you, I mean, because you're learning from them. I mean, I would think you were working together as well.
Yeah, hanging together then was making music. I mean, it was, you moved to Nashville and you've never been around people that can talk about music all the time. I mean, it's not just the weekends when you're out with the band. It's all the time. It is breaking down songs into why they are and what makes you feel that way and what the words do and why they're there and the intent of them, reverse engineering your favorite songs, listening at them and discussing them for days and days and days, so deep that you go, okay, they're just overthinking it and talking trash now. But it's just diving into songs and going, why is it like that? What made it great? What is their favorite part? What moves you? What is the thing that makes the flag go off for you? So, just diving into our heroes and trying to figure out what they did so we could try to copy them, honestly.
It's funny you talk about that. If you've watched the history of the Eagles, it's like a 4-hour documentary.
It's fantastic.
I love how they talk about Jackson Brown. Glenn Frey was, they were living above Jackson in that tiny little apartment. They said you could hear him in the morning. He would start and you would hear him play the same piano part hundreds of times.
Sure.
And then I'd hear him make his tea. He'd have lunch and drink tea, and he'd come back and I'd hear it 100 more times. And then by the end of it, he would hear him kind of put it together. But that's the time it took to figure out every little nuance to make songs that work.
I mean, I was so green. I was so stupid. I didn't know. I would Jared and I'd be riding around in his old Dodge, and a song like "I'm Gonna Be Somebody" by Travis Tritt would come on, right? And I would be like, man, I love that song. And Jared would be like, what you love about it? I'm like, what do you mean what I love about it? He goes, is it the beat? Is it the rhythm? Is it the vocal? Is it the lyrics? What is it you love about it? And I'm like, I don't know. He's like, I'll think about it, He'd say, have you written it out? I go, well, what do you mean have I written it out? He goes, have you written it on a piece of paper, like written the lyrics out? I go, well, I'm not trying to sing it. I'm just trying to, I'm telling you, I like it. He goes, you're so stupid. He goes, if you'll write it out, he goes, you'll see different patterns. You'll see it different. And so I was like, okay. So I go back to the house and I'll grab a piece of paper and I start writing it out line by line. And I get halfway through and I go, nothing rhymes. I call Jared. I go, nothing rhymes. He goes, what do you mean? I go, none of the verses rhyme. I go, how can it sing so good and nothing rhymes? He goes, see, dummy, you wouldn't have seen that. It's like, you could have told me, dude.
Yeah. This is how you learn.
But there was years of that. It was, I call it my PhD course of music. It was learning. It was that constantly with all 6 or 7. Lee Bryce was in that pile too. All 6 or 7 of us talking about songs and going in the studio together, and one going, well, I do it this way, and one going, well, I do it this way, and well, why do you do it, and how does it do it? And it was just day and night. It's all we talked about. It was college again for me.
Yeah, for a course or a degree you really wanted this time, something you really had a passion for.
You're talking about learning and almost like going through your college. What advice would you give for somebody that's coming into town today with no connections, that's just wanting to learn? And what are your thoughts on the current state of music?
Yeah, I mean, find your team, find your people that you want to surround yourself with. I was extremely lucky. The longer I'm here, I look back, I go, good Lord, what would I have done without those guys? I mean, that they have been, the rock that we always end up, leaning on. But finding your core group of believers, man, you got to know when you move to Nashville, there's a lot of other people doing just what you're doing. They got there and they don't know anybody either. And they're the best where they're from too. And they're here to see where they stack up, So finding those people that you can learn from and write with, and, nobody co-writes till you get here. Nobody knows how to do that. It's a Nashville thing that you learn and you go, oh, we are more powerful together sometimes. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. They can do some crazy cool stuff that I can't do. You mean if I write with them, it's like me being able to do that? Chris knows his wife's one of the most talented writers in town. So it's, co-writing together and using each other's gifts is this magic moment that I don't know that you get much doing other things, but we get to experience it quite a bit.
And then part 2 of that, what do you think? Current
state of music, the country music or music in general.
Well, you can go start with country, maybe branch out if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I think the digital market has changed things and has led to new options and possibilities, upsides and downsides, honestly, of ways to get music out to people and way to break artists. And I'm kind of looking forward to the future and what the digital market as well as terrestrial. I'm not against but the what the digital market has to offer for new artists and how they break internationally and how they get in and create and keep fans. How they get shows. It's I think there's still a lot of people that are obsessed with music. I think there's a lot of choices. So I don't think people spending all day just listening to an album, but music is being consumed. I watch my 9 and 10-year-olds ride around in the car, and they used to just watch YouTube videos, and now they're listening to music, and they've been pushed in no way at my house. Music was my choice and my wife's choice, and if they want to do that, fine. But the music they're listening to is because they're interested and they're talking about it and they're consuming it. And I think I was just like that.
Well, I brought that up because I wanted you to talk about the digital aspect of it. You're a songwriter. You have so many little hats you're wearing, but the big hat you're wearing right now is running Pump House Records. Mm-hmm. Now, how did you get into that, and how did you pick your artist, Rebecca Lynn Howard?
Well, I got into it by accident talking with a friend at a hunting club in Colorado called Homestead Ranch. We're sitting on the porch talking. I'm visiting with a guy named Derek Hutchins, not knowing each other, and we're talking about the record business. And he had this great idea, Derek, that we should start a record label. So with our brother Lee and Mr. Alicia Hoffman, we got together and we thought, okay, let's try to do this right. Let's try to spend the money in the best way we can to try to break our artists. The artist we have out right now is an artist named Rebecca Lynn Howard. The reason for Rebecca is because she's the most talented human I've ever met on earth.
It is pretty amazing to watch.
She is one of my favorite humans that exist. Her soul is beautiful. Her voice is off the charts. I don't know what to say. No one sees her and isn't absolutely knocked down, blown away.
And she can play, I think, every instrument ever made.
Absolute freak. She can play anything with strings, and she plays it better than everybody else, is the embarrassing part. So she, like I said, I've been amazingly fortunate to have some very, very talented friends. She is unquestionably at the very top of the pile. And I'm not, and there's not a short list of people that agree with me on that one. You don't have to be a brain surgeon or even a music person to hear her and go, wow. Right. So I'm very excited for her and us for getting to put a record out on her. I think it's going to be one of the best records out this year.
Okay, that's awesome.
And I love it for her too, because this is an artist who has already done so many things and she's already had so much success, and now she's getting to do this, write a new chapter in this already great book of what she's accomplished, and so it's fun to see what's going to happen with her next.
Yeah, man, she had all these great songs, and we were just it starts with talking, so what if. So what if we made a record? What would it sound like? And what songs would it be? And what would the premise be? And, just like talking with Jared about songs, it's just talking. It's just what if. And what if leads to why not? And, you start going, all the pieces are there, man. All the songs are there. The evolution of her and her talent are there. Where she is in her life is there. And you go, I don't know, we're running out of excuses here. It's like, let's, unless we're deaf, let's let the world hear her.
Well, and then as we get ready to wrap it up, what are you working on right now? What's your next hit song? What's the next thing we're going to hear from Rob Hatch that we go, holy crap, he wrote another?
Buddy, I wish I knew that. I would go ahead and point in the right direction. Let's take bets. But I'm always writing, always making music. So the Megan Maroney project I'm excited about, the Jamie Johnson project I'm excited about, I'm excited about a lot of upcoming things that
cool.
I can't wait to talk about later.
Excellent, man. Well, Rob, we appreciate your time, man. We know you're busy, and we love hearing the stories. We love that you're an example for other young songwriters maybe who are trying to figure out how to find their place. And you got a great story. Everybody's story is unique, but maybe they can take a little bit of what you did and somehow apply it to themselves and be the next Rob Hatch.
Well, I love you guys. Y'all are the best. And thank you for hanging out with me, man. You're cool.
Awesome.
Appreciate you, Rob.
Thanks, Rob. We'll see you
You got
soon.
it, boys. See you soon.